We've got a bunch of these. That's the first one. Let's bring in some guests, though. We're going to help work through this from a couple different perspectives. Joining me in Los Angeles, board-certified forensic psychiatrist, trial expert, witness, and columnist, Dr. Carol Lieberman. Dr. Carol Lieberman, I'm going to read another one of these allegations. And again, these are like all over the place. It's really very different behavior. This one goes back to Thanksgiving of 2022. While using the restroom, young Miami's cousin burst into the bathroom and began groping Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs sent her in there to sexually assault Mr. Jones. According to Mr. Jones, as she entered the bathroom, she dropped to her knees and began performing oral sex on Mr. Jones' exposed private parts. Mr. Jones pushed her away and exited the bathroom. So, on the one hand, you know, with Mike Paul, I was like, well, what if all this goes away, nothing happens? Now, on the other hand here, Dr. Carol Lieberman, if in fact these allegations are true, what does it tell us about the person who would do what is alleged in the walking around the bathroom and touching the other man's bottom parts and sending someone else in to perform an act? What type of person, what kind of mind does that? What would motivate someone to act that way?
Well, you know, Sean Combs, Diddy, he has all these names, you know, Puff Daddy, Sean Diddy Combs, all this. Anyway, we're talking about that man. You know, it's not a surprise. I mean, we know that he has been using drugs for a long time. A lot of these allegations, actually from the women, go back for many years. Even it's not clear to me how many years these allegations are. But I mean, in other words, it's not like it just happened yesterday.
Well, so the last one, though, the one where he's alleged to have sent someone in to assault him is from Thanksgiving of 22. So that's pretty recent.
Okay, yes. But I mean, but there's a history of it. In other words, there's consistent behavior, consistent sexual behavior, sexual abuse, drugs, and so that kind of makes it more believable that it's not just one person claiming outrageous things, it's several people, and they're claiming basically similar things. Now, the part about where he's claiming that this woman was sent in to do this sex act on him, and he also talks about another sex act. He was saying that Diddy was giving him off to Cuba Gooding, and he locked him in a room. You know, and that was because he was purposely moving him over, turning him off, you know, moving him on. Not, like, in other words, he was giving Cuba Gooding his remains, you know, he wasn't interested in anymore. I think it's harder to prove that he did something that caused somebody else, whether it was the woman or Cuba or Cuba Gooding, that they were involved, that they were somehow made to do something. That, I think, is harder to prove.
One more I want to put up here of these allegations from this civil lawsuit again. According to Mr. Jones, during the introduction, Mr. Combs suggested that Cuba get to know Mr. Jones better. He then left them alone in a makeshift studio on the yacht. Cuba Gooding Jr. began touching, groping, and fondling Mr. Jones's legs, his upper inner thighs, near his groin, the small of his back, near his buttocks, and his shoulders. He rejected his advances, and Mr. Gooding Jr. did not stop until Mr. Jones forcibly pushed him away. It's happening, the allegations here, it's happening on a yacht. Dr. Carol Lieberman. Just put us in the mindset on how and why something like this could happen if it's true. All the allegations have been denied, but if this was true, like how does someone come up with this idea? Let's go out on a yacht, and then this is what we're going to do.
Yes, this is what I was referring to before, that it's a little harder to prove something like that in fact it was on purpose that Mr. Combs left them both in the room. You know, and also with all these drugs that everybody's taking who are associated with these people, with all these drugs, a lot of paranoia could be going on. So it's going to be very tricky to separate out the allegations from paranoid projections, that these people are claiming. Some of the allegations are going to be easier to prove. Well, I mean, if they did, allegedly, if they did happen, but some of them are going to be harder. But, I just want to say something about the breadth of the raids. It seems way over the top, because especially since Mr. Combs wasn't even arrested. Why did they have to make such a big show? And apparently the media was called to these things also.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
So we're all going to be talking about it. I mean, they're doing their own PR at the same time.
Right.
Big thank you. We're out of time for this segment, but obviously, as Mike told us, there's going to be a lot more happening here. So Dr. Carol Lieberman, thank you. Mike Paul, thank you. Great to see you.